At only 8 weeks old, little Marley found himself alone and lost in the middle of the desert. He was rescued by a Good Samaritan and taken to the Humane Society, and unfortunately, as it often happens in smaller shelters, Marley was placed on the euthanasia list. Lucky for Marley, Second Chance Center for Animals in northern Arizona was on their way to pull as many dogs as possible for their adoption center. Several months earlier, a family from Flagstaff, the Roqueforts, had lost their beloved dog Paco. Grieving for Paco the most was their other dog, Izzy, confused and lonely. John decided to stop by Second Chance, and the minute he laid eyes on the little black puppy, he knew Marley was destined to become part of their family. What he didn't know was Marley was also destined to become a hero. On a dark and freezing night in Flagstaff, Arizona, a man walked out his back door and became disoriented. Lost and confused, he wandered through the dark for hours. With hypothermia setting in and his strength fading, he collapsed. Calling out for help, he hoped that someone, anyone, would hear his cries. The Roquefort family had already settled in for the night, and typically Marley settles in beside them. But this night was different. Around 1 a.m., Marley began pacing and whining. Despite their pleas to calm him down, he became more and more anxious. John, assuming he needed a potty break, got up to let Marley out. As soon as the door opened, Marley raced out toward the back of the property, barking the entire way. The Roqueforts live next to a forest and are no strangers to deer and elk who wander along their fence line. John thought they were the cause of Marley's agitation and pleaded with him to quiet down. Instead, Marley barked even more furiously. John realized something must be wrong and set out across the yard to investigate. Through the trees, he heard a very faint noise, and straining his ears, he heard moaning and a whisper of cry for help. First responders soon arrived on scene, and after a short search found a man in his early 20s covered in cuts and abrasions and unable to move. They reported that without Marley's acute hearing, sense of smell, and intuition, the man would certainly have perished on the side of the mountain that night. Despite the extensive media coverage the story received and the constant praise and admiration, Marley remains the same humble and lovable dog the Roqueforts brought home 4 years ago. Thank you, Marley, for your bravery and persistence. You are our hero.